just so you know, this is recording. That I have to say that beforehand. Can you introduce yourself and say how long you've been in the profession of athletic training?
All right, so my name is Friedman. I've been an athletic trainer for 3 years now, about to go on 4. Yeah, and now I work at UConn.
Okay. What do you believe evidence-based practice is, and how have you used it in the past?
So evidence-based practice to me is knowing what you're doing and knowing how it's helping and doing the best thing to help whatever you're trying to help. So in the past, just doing simple things like, icing it on an acute injury right when it happens, that's evidence-based because it's proven to help decrease the amount of swelling in whatever is swelling. So there's little things like that is how you use evidence-based practice, and some people don't even realize that they use it every single day.
Okay. How much experience do you have with evidence-based practices? Like, how many have you used it from the start?
Yeah, so in undergrad, I think every single class we had, just about every single class we had started out explaining what evidence-based practice is and how it's incorporated in an everyday athletic trainer's life.
Okay.
So that's basically when I started using it. Let's see. Yeah, so I've basically been using it since then, everything I do.
Okay. Do you see any positives or negatives to evidence-based practices?
I definitely think there's a lot of positives, but definitely more positives than negatives. I think one of the bigger negatives is that people don't realize, sometimes clinically, it's not always feasible to do whatever the evidence-based gold standard is. Because especially if you're working at a place with not a lot of resources. Like I know I've had some athletes that were at JUCOs or transferred from a D2 or D3 school, and they're like, "Oh, I've never seen anything besides stim and ice for treatment before." But sometimes that's kind of the best you could do, because if there's one athletic trainer for 200-300 athletes, then sometimes the best you could do for somebody is some stim and ice. But even if it's just analgesically, it's still helping them. So a lot of people don't realize that just because it's the gold standard and it's the best thing based on evidence-based practice, that's the thing that you have to do every single time. That's just not the case. And also just clinical decision-making and personal experience goes into evidence-based practice as well. It's not just pure research, even though research is extremely important.
Do you see it changing the athletic training career path as a whole, evidence-based practice? That question went so weird.
Can you say that one more time for me?
Do you see evidence-based practicing changing the career of athletic training?
I think as the athletic training moves to, obviously the big thing in athletic training, and it's kind of always been the big thing, is trying to be able to get third-party reimbursement, because then that helps athletic trainers get paid more, which is very nice, and everybody wants that. But in order to get third-party reimbursement, you need to make sure that you have a reason for everything you're doing. And I mean, I've worked under athletic trainers, been a student for athletic trainers who, when I ask questions, don't really give a real answer. Their answer is, "Oh, it's because that's what I want to do." And I think if people really want to progress the profession, evidence-based practice is really important, because when you write a SOAP note on somebody, you can't write on it just a random example that's probably not true, but, "Oh, I did stim on or IFC on him because that's what I wanted to do." You have to write and know that, "Oh, I did IFC on him to modulate his pain and try and reduce his pain for him." That's going to be how the profession is going to need to go if we want to and have any chance of getting third-party reimbursement as a whole country, not just in one state or 2 states.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have. And thanks again, Paul, for doing this. I'm going to go and stop recording.